So Fujifilm accidentally made a full frame camera. And I say accidentally because the owner or CEO of Fujifilm said that they have no intentions on really ever entering into the full frame camera market, yet I'm holding one right here. So the mystery full frame Fujifilm camera is actually not truly a full frame camera. It's actually the GFX 100 Mark II, which is a medium format camera. So what am I talking about? Well, if you actually dive into the settings on the GFX 100 Mark II, you'll notice you have image format settings. And in there, you can select 35mm mode instead of the traditional GF mode, which takes advantage of the medium format sensor within this camera. 35mm mode is not a super 35mm mode that you would see in other like full frame camera options or just in the sensor in general, which has like a 1.5x crop from full frame. It's actually more akin to 35mm film. Now, for those of you who don't know, 35mm film is the equivalent of a digital full frame sensor. So by selecting 35mm mode in the GFX 100 Mark II, we are shooting full frame. Kinda. By the way, where I'm recording, it is a bit windy and loud because there's also some sort of festival happening here at the Parthenon in Nashville, Tennessee. But this is a good opportunity to let you guys know that I am recording with the Rode Wireless Pro 2s. I've actually been using them in a lot of my videos recently, and so far I've been really enjoying them. So if you like the audio coming off of this video or maybe my last few videos, that's what I've been recording on. Just to let you guys know, I like them. They're pretty awesome. So when you select the full frame 35mm mode in the GFX 100 Mark II, you have a couple different options for recording resolutions. You can do 4.8K, you can do regular 4K, Cine 4K. You also have an option for a 3x2 mode, which is pretty incredible. So that's essentially like an open gate mode. Open gate typically means the entire sensor, but when you're shooting with the 35mm mode, you're definitely cropping in. So we'll just call it a 3x2 mode. But that's really exciting because if you are gonna do any reframing in post, having the extra height from shooting that 3x2 ratio is pretty incredible.
Wait, just say it to the camera now.
Okay, so we just found out that this camera in 4.8K in the 35mm mode can record open gate or 3x2, which means we're getting the full width and height of the sensor. This camera's so cool.
It's like mind-blowing.
I forgot to mention that actually also when you're in the 35mm mode, you can record in DCI 8K, and I believe that's at 422 all eye as well, which is amazing. I think that is capped at 24 frames. I don't even think you can get 30 frames a second, but still pretty awesome that I can record straight up 8K internal 422 all eye full frame on a Fujifilm camera. I mean, that's so strange. So real quick, I just want to show how the GFX 100 Mark II compares to a traditional full frame camera when shooting in the 35mm mode. And as you can see from this test between the GFX 100 Mark II and my Lumix S5 Mark II X, they are very comparable. In fact, if I go ahead and switch the GFX 100 Mark II into the medium format mode, you can see how much extra information you would be getting if you were using the entire medium format sensor when recording in video. Also, a quick side note, you can see how much better Fujifilm's autofocus has gotten, especially when you're using some of their later cameras. Now, it's still not perfect, but overall, I have been much more impressed with these newer Fujifilm cameras over the older ones. Now, if you guys have followed me for any length of time at all, you know that I really adore Fujifilm and Fujifilm cameras. Started with the X-T3, got the X-T4, messed around with the X100V and F and the X-T5. I just really adore Fujifilm cameras, and always the thing about those cameras and why eventually I did switch to the Canon EOS R and then the R6 Mark II and now the Lumix S5 Mark II X, which I'm using right now, is just that it does have that larger full frame sensor, and that's what Fujifilm has been missing out on. Now, I have used the original GFX 100 or the 100S as well, and those cameras had some magic sauce that can only be applied to medium format, but they are very, very expensive, just like the GFX 100 Mark II. And that's why the concept of a full frame Fujifilm is just so appealing to me. Imagine, for example, the Fujifilm X-H2S and the GFX 100 Mark II kind of smushed together into a beautiful little full frame F-Log2 ProRes RAW 6K beast. I mean, that would just be such an amazing camera. And of course you get all the extra things that make Fujifilm special, like just their color science and film simulations and such like that, that I would just really love to see. So obviously this is not a full frame camera. I was being a bit cheeky with the title of the video. That being said, this camera is pretty stellar, just to like talk about it real quick. By the way, Zach Mayfield, go check out Zach Mayfield's channel. He's the one who let me borrow this. He has it on loan from Fujifilm. He left town for a few days. He's like, hey, just take it around and mess around with it. So that's how I've been messing around with this camera over the last like 2 days or so. And when Zach and I were first kind of playing around with it, we just kind of fell in love with this camera. It has some pretty awesome things. Of course, the tracking is getting a lot better for the autofocus, but it had things like 235x1 or anamorphic D-squeeze built in, or even this thing, which I don't know if you guys noticed, but the viewfinder can actually pop off the top of the camera, which I think actually makes it look pretty dang cool. All these little things that just kind of make this camera special and also kind of make Fujifilm special, like the film simulation that comes on this camera, Real Ace, which is, I believe, exclusive to the GFX 100 Mark II as of right now. Side note, I also love that you can use the, let's see if it'll focus, the CFX, the CF Express type B cards. So this camera takes those as well as just, for example, a traditional SD card, like these Angelberg cards that I've been using for a while. Love these things. I do like that because, of course, the CFX Express B cards are insanely fast, and you're going to be able to dump your footage much faster when you are using those cards versus just SD cards. So that was a great thing to see in this camera. Now, this actually isn't the first time I've done a full frame Fujifilm camera. Actually, I believe on my X-T4, right when I got it, I did use a Viltrox speed booster to make my APS-C X-T4 a full frame camera, and it was kind of janky. It had some issues with flaring because the Viltrox speed booster was not that great, and I didn't want to spend the whatever amount of hundreds of dollars for the Metabones one, which would have been a lot better. But the concept, again, of full frame Fujifilm just really fascinates me. Let me know what you guys think of the idea of a full frame Fujifilm camera. Is that something that you would want? Something you don't really care about? I'd be really curious to have a conversation with you guys down in the comments below. So yeah, anyways, I hope that you all enjoyed this video on Fujifilm's accidental full frame camera, the GFX 100 Mark II. Really is an amazing camera. I hope that you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Take it easy, guys.